In January, Governor Hochul announced a plan to replace the Joint Commission on Public Ethics after acknowledging Jay Cope had failed to live up to its mandate. Jay Cope's replacement came into being on July 8th as the Commission on Ethics and Lobbying in Government. In order to ensure independence, appointees to the new Commission on Ethics will be vetted by a team of 15 deans from New York's accredited law schools. David Lombardo from the Capitol Press Room spoke to Dean Anthony Crowell, who is chair of the group charged with managing the vetting process.
Welcome to the show, Dean Crowell.
Thanks so much, David. It's good to join you.
So you're one of 15 law school deans responsible for vetting the 11-member commission that's going to be our new state internal watchdog. How are you going to judge the nominees that come from the legislative leaders and the statewide elected officials?
So I'd like to sort of describe the process as one not of judgment, but one of a sound review that looks at a comprehensive picture of the candidate in light of the qualifications that they possess and the needs of the state in terms of an ethics commissioner who has the ability to navigate a range of functions and to understand the complexities of an incredibly diverse public workforce. So we will certainly give a careful review, but the first rung of that review will be a very, very rigorous pre-nomination process that we will have put in place, putting a level of accountability on the elected officials who will nominate these candidates to really look deeply into their backgrounds, to understand their qualifications, and to make a determination that is informed, including by public input, before they actually give us the formal nomination to review in full. So there are several layers to the process, and we will certainly make sure that the procedures we've established are followed, and then we'll make sure that the people who get appointed possess the requisite qualifications and have the requisite abilities to perform well in their role as a state ethics commissioner.
Well, what are those abilities that the nominees should contain?
Sure. Well, first and foremost, we're going to ensure that the nominees are of undisputed honesty, integrity, and character. We certainly want to look to the professional conduct of the candidates to ensure that they have conducted themselves with the highest ethical standards, and that their lived experience allows them to understand the range of perspectives that are needed to effectively serve as a member of the State Ethics Commission. In addition, we want to see candidates who have a demonstrated ability to be impartial and fair, independent, even-handed, and who can decide matters based solely on the law and facts that are presented and not on politics.
Are there any disqualifying factors for potential candidates? For example, if someone worked for or worked closely with someone who's getting nominated and someone who might be under the scrutiny of this new watchdog, would they be automatically disqualified?
That would not be an automatic disqualification, but we'd want to certainly know that, and we'd want to talk to the candidates. So once the pre-nomination process has concluded and the elected officials who make the appointments have decided who they're going to formally submit to us for review, we will then start not only review the record that they made that decision on, but we will conduct our own interviews of those candidates as well. And those interviews will work to understand those relationships that they might have with those who appointed them, but also their ability to be independent. Those who may have prior state service, even with working with public officials, may have a perspective that is valuable, but we do want to understand their ability to use independent judgment and to be fair and even-handed and not be political in the process of making determinations consistent with the state ethics laws.
Ideally, because you've laid out the criteria you're looking for, honesty, integrity, the nominating bodies are going to take that into account when choosing who they want to serve on this commission. And theoretically, there won't be any problems with anyone they put up. But theoretically, there also could be some candidates who just don't pass whatever smell test that you and your fellow deans end up implementing. So if there are candidates that you deem aren't worthy, what ends up happening? Do you essentially send them back to the nominator and say, no good, try again? So
the Independent Review Committee, in effect, stands as a body that is undertaking an advice and consent process. And what we will do is we will make a determination as to whether or not the nominee should be confirmed for appointment. Ultimately, the elected official who makes the nomination is the one who will appoint, but we'll undertake this confirmation process. If we determine that the candidate is not fit for service on the State Ethics Commission, we will send it back to the nominating elected official and ask them to reconsider other options and to resubmit someone else.
Now, I like talking to you. I'm sure your students think you're great, but for everyone else in New York who might not have a chance to know you or know the other law school deans who are making up this independent review committee, what would you tell to those New Yorkers about why law school deans make for a good vetting body?
So law school deans obviously have a significant role with the profession. We are stewards of the profession. We train new lawyers. We undertake management of very significant programs of legal education, and an extraordinary number of the lawyers in New York State have come through our law schools. So we have an understanding of the requisite ethical standards, professionalism, and the expectations of those who trust those in public service in our state. Deans make a good choice. We're not the only ones who could potentially do this job, but I think that we do have that understanding of a high ethical standard and the level of professionalism, accountability, independence, objectivity, all those things that make up a good lawyer, make up a sound judiciary, and make for responsible government. And so that is our function as stewards of this profession and those who protect, promote, defend the rule of law.
Well, finally, what's the status of your work right now?
Sure. So right now, we have a backgrounding process that is underway. What happens is we have the state police as well as investigators from the State Office of General Services who are doing background investigations on the candidates that are identified for them by the different elected officials. Those elected officials include the governor, the state attorney general, the comptroller, and the majority and minority leadership of both the Senate and the Assembly. And I will say that right now, I understand that there are a good number that are making their way through that backgrounding process. And I would expect as of today, I would expect very soon that we will see some of those elected officials publish the names of those they are contemplating nominating. And upon that publication will be the opportunity for public comment. I expect good government groups to make comments, members of bar associations, and citizens and other civic organizations comment on the reputation and the strength of the candidates presented.
Well, we've been speaking with Anthony Crowell. He is the chair of the state's Independent Review Committee and dean of New York Law School. Anthony, thank you so much for making the time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Dave. Good to see you.